So I have decided to record this video as a journal, just to arrange my thoughts and share my thoughts with other people who might be struggling with the same thing. I'm not sure whether anybody is going to listen to it or not, but it could be helpful, because I struggled for a long time with this problem with my mother, and at times I feel as if it's impossible for me to overcome the pain, the hurt that she causes, and I still keep trying and trying to build some kind of relationship with her. So I'd like to talk about how I know that my mother is a narcissist. I'm not a psychologist. I have been looking into this topic for years now, and I have been studying, but of course I can't diagnose her. Although I think that she either has narcissistic personality disorder, or she's very close, or in other words, she's very high on the narcissistic scale. And the reason number one that I know that is because she is extremely jealous about other relationships I have in my life. I have good relationships with most people, or if I don't, then I don't talk that much to them. However, there's some people, like my ex-mother-in-law, that I keep in touch with, and we are close. We share things that I wouldn't be comfortable sharing with other people, and it's just very nice that we have been able to keep up this relationship. But my mother is very jealous about it. She doesn't miss an opportunity to tell me how bad my ex-mother-in-law is, what a horrible person my ex-mother-in-law is. And so she would just throw this heap of rubbish at anybody that I have a good relationship with. And this happened to my father. I loved my father with all my heart, and we had an amazing relationship. I miss him very much. He died last year. And so we were very close and kept in contact for every day. And she badmouths him, even though he's dead now. She's trying to convince me that I never had a good relationship with my father, that I didn't really know him, that she knew him better, and that lately she's even trying to convince me that I mistreated my father, that I didn't help my father when he needed it, and it's just horribly untrue. This is not what happened. So she is trying to undermine my reality with that. She's trying to gaslight me, and gaslighting is the next point on my list. So point number 2, how I know that my mother is a narcissist, or very high on the narcissistic scale, is that she would do things and say things that would be hurtful, and if I ever bring it up, she denies it. This never happened. It never happened, and it doesn't matter even if I have messages that clearly state what she said. She would then twist it and say that this is misreading it in some way, and this is not what she meant, and I am the bad one for even trying to just point this out, that you shouldn't talk to me like that, or you shouldn't be trying to hurt me. The next reason, and reason number 3, why I think my mother is a narcissist, and I know she's a narcissist, is that she always puts her needs first. Always. It doesn't matter what is going on. She will always put her needs first, and she will demand that I do so as well. So that I put her needs first, even when I'm in pain, even if I'm very busy, or even if it's an important event in my life. For example, when I was a child, she used to tell me, if I brought up anything about having a problem, or not being happy with something, or just simply had a question, she would say, don't bother the adults. You don't know what problems are. When you grow up, you will find out. Don't bother me with that. But what I found really cruel was that when my father, last year, my father got really ill, and I knew he was dying, and I just wanted to be there for my father, and I wanted some support, and I wanted people to understand that my father is dying, and it's very painful, and it was a very bad time. And even though seeing me suffering, crying, and just my dad suffering, she still wanted the attention to be her, and she was telling me, because you never loved me the way you love your father, you never cared about me the way you care about your father. And so she tried to guilt me for caring for my father, and I think it's just horribly cruel. She cannot stand not being in the middle of everybody's attention. She can't stand that, no matter what's going on, even if somebody else is dying. Another thing, number 4 on my list, is that she expects me to protect her. And I know that I am a grown-up person now, and yes, I'd be able to protect her in certain situations, but she has always done this. When I was 6 years old, I clearly remember this evening. It was a winter evening, there was snow outside, it was cold, and they were arguing. My father and her, they were arguing, and she was hysteric, she was crying, and so she entered the room, my bedroom, and my father was behind her, and I got so scared because they were shouting. I don't know what they were saying, I just know they were shouting. And so she jumped out of the window. It was a ground floor house, so it was in a house, it was the ground floor. But I got so scared that I just pulled my cover onto my face and just stayed there quietly, because I didn't know what was going on. I was scared. I didn't know why it's happening or what's going to happen. And next day, when she came back, I will never forget this. She came back and told me, yesterday when I was arguing with your father, you didn't stand up for me. You hid, didn't you? You hid under the covers, didn't you? And I was 6 years old. I didn't know anything better. My mother was saying to me that I didn't protect her, and I felt ashamed. I felt like, what? I've done something wrong. And looking back at this situation, if it was me and my child, I would never leave my child with a person that I think is dangerous, or I think is too angry, or whatever why she jumped out of the window. And so she should have protected me. It wasn't the other way around. It shouldn't have been. Also, just to clarify, she's my father and her they have been divorced for some time, for several years, I think 7 or 8. And they divorced. The divorce was very dramatic, of course. My mother's claiming that my father threw her out, and she had nowhere to go, so she went to my brother's house, and that I never helped her, that I didn't protect her, that I wasn't there for her. And so today she told me, when your father was dying, you didn't tell him to make up with me. And I was, it's incredible. She expected me to ask my father to make up with her. And so she's putting onto me responsibilities that are not mine. And she's blaming me for things that are not, that have nothing to do with me. Or she's blaming me for things that I have no control over. Another thing, I've lost count now, but another thing on my list why I know that she's a narcissist is that she has a golden child. We are two siblings, me and my brother. My brother is 7 years older than me. And when I was younger, when I was a child, and even in my teenage years, I was the golden child. She would never say any bad things about me, or she didn't complain about me, but she kept bad mouthing my brother. She would tell horrible things again about him, his wife. She would cry, make drama. She would blame them for things, and she would get offended, and all this drama at home because of them. And when I got married very early, very young. I was 22 years old only. And I moved away with my husband. I moved really far. The situation changed. We swapped. My brother became the golden child, and I became the black sheep. So my mother, she's unable to treat both of her children the same way. She always has to have a villain. There was always a villain in the family too. It was my father, it was my father's mother, it was his sister, now it's me, at some point it was my brother. There was always a villain. And so when I was a child, she did not let me talk to my father's side of the family. She would badmouth them very badly. She would, if they met, she would either not look at them, ignore them, not say hello, or she would create drama, start crying, shouting, accusing people of things that never happened. Another thing, my next thing on my list is that she projects her behavior onto others. So, for example, in this current situation I'm in, my dad, when he died, or before he died, he wrote a testament, he wrote a will, and he left the house for me. And so my mother went to the lawyers, trying to find a way to get it away from me, and trying to find a way to prove that it should be hers. And so she then put my brother up, because I need my brother's signature in order to be able to complete the paperwork. And so my brother refused to sign. He refused to provide any documents of his, and he said he'd rather see the house collapse. And so she accused me of trying to take it away from her and trying to give it to somebody else, which is what she is exactly doing. So she's trying to take away what was left to me by my father and give it to my brother, but she projects her behavior onto me, and she's accusing me of that, which sounds crazy. This sounds just crazy, insane. However, I try to explain, it doesn't matter what evidence I have, she will not accept it, and she will gaslight, deny, lie, and make me out the bad one. Another thing on my list is that she guilts. So she tries to manipulate everybody, not only me, but I'm talking about myself now. She tries to manipulate me in order for me to do things the way she wants to, or to behave the way she wants me to. And when I don't do it, when she sees that she can't manipulate me, she then shames me. For example, when my dad was dying, she didn't want me to go to the hospital to see my dad. She didn't want me to visit him. And I just said, doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to go. This is my dad, and I'm not leaving him when he's dying. And her response was, so she said to me, I never paid enough attention to my mother, And I really regret it now. And you will do so as well in the future. And this when my dad was dying in the hospital. So she tries to shame me, to guilt me for something as natural as going to visit, to be just by my dad's side when he's dying. It's really difficult for me to think and to talk about it, and I have had a long day of crying and really feeling the pain of it. So sorry if I hope I make sense. The last thing, which is not, maybe it's the least important from all of them, but what my mother does is that she would brag to others about my achievements, about how smart I am, how many languages I speak, everything. She would brag to others in order to look good. It gives her a kick. She needs her supply. She needs her narcissistic supply. But when I achieve something and I call her to share this news, for example, passing my driving test, she does not sound proud, or she does not say, "Oh, you're smart," or "You've done so well," or "Good on you," or she doesn't make me feel as if I've achieved anything. If anything, she looks at it as if like, well, there's not much to brag about. So I always feel as if I am not doing enough, or as if somehow I have to do extra for other people to see that I am capable, that I have value, I have worth. And I think, although it seems as a small thing, it stays with you. And these behaviors that I've learned from my mother, of not standing up for myself, of always having to do extra just to be noticed, of feeling scared to just confront somebody even when I clearly know they are lying, and even if I have evidence that they're lying to me or trying to use me, I'd be scared, I'd be very stressed to confront people. So these behaviors that I've learned from her, from her reactions, I then automatically take out onto other situations at work, family, just in general. And so I'm now on a learning path, and I'm learning to really try and say things that I don't like or I think that are unfair in a nice way. So I'm just learning now that it's okay to stand up for myself, actually. That I can disagree and still have a relationship with somebody, for example, with my boyfriend. I can say, "No, I disagree with you. I don't think you're right." I can give him the evidence that I have, and he will be okay with that. Or we might both disagree on one thing, but it does not trigger a bad reaction of him. So all these things that seem logical and that seem natural, I haven't learned that from my mother. What I've learned from my mother is that I should not contradict her because there will be consequences. And I know that this condition of her is there for a reason. Something bad happened to her when she was a child. Something that must have happened from her parents for her to be like this. I know that she feels bad inside, that she feels worthless, and that she feels unloved, and so on. However, I don't think that excuses her behavior towards her own children. And she refuses to admit that there is a problem with her. She refuses to admit. She tells me that I am the one that has a problem and I should go to a psychiatric hospital. So she projects that. She could also make the choice of analyzing her behavior, of looking at what's causing other people's reactions towards her in order to learn. You can't learn if you don't admit that you have made a mistake, because if you do everything perfect, then there is no way you can learn. You're already perfect. And so this is what I wanted to say today, and these are some reasons of why I know that she's a narcissist. However, there are many more. I hope I made it clear, and maybe if somebody listens to my video, they can take something of it and in order to analyze their own situation and compare to it. And to everybody out there who has a narcissistic parent, who has grown up with a narcissistic parent, I just want to say, there are so many of us. You're not alone, and we are struggling with it. Yes, we are struggling, but it's doable. You don't have to listen to them. You don't have to be controlled. You don't have to take this kind of behavior. You can stand up for yourself. Okay, guys, thank you very much for listening, and I wish you all a good night. And may peace and love reign on earth. Bye.